got you updated. This is Radio Manzi News in English.
This is Radio Ibanzi, broadcasting from Kigali. Here is the news in English, brought to you by Fiona Umuganwa. The headlines. Agriculture export companies from Rwanda have joined the world for the 9th edition of Qatar's International Agriculture Exhibition. Belgian Public Agency has organized a comic book exhibition that has brought together emerging artists. The Ministry of Local Government says the number of malnourished children and people living below the poverty line in Nyagatare district is increasing. Dr. Matshidiso Moeti is the first woman to lead the World Health Organization's Regional Africa office. Now the news in detail. Ahead of the International Consumer Rights Day, which is celebrated on March 15th every year, the Rwanda Utilities Regulatory Authority has launched a campaign in Nyarugenge district to examine consumer services in telecommunications and the role of technology in economic transparency. The theme for the World Consumer Rights Day 2022 is Fair Digital Finance. The General Manager of ICT Regulation at Rura, Gahungu Charles, says that much has changed in Rwanda, where more people were becoming accustomed to using technology to conduct financial transactions. Digital technologies are reshaping payments, lending, insurance, and wealth management everywhere, becoming a key enabler for consumers of financial services. Agriculture export companies from Rwanda have joined the world for the 9th edition of Qatar's International Agriculture Exhibition. The expo, being held in Doha from today to 14th March, will help participating countries seize business opportunities for their products. Products being showcased in the Rwandan pavilion include coffee, flowers, fruits, and vegetables. Wallonie Brussels International, a Belgian public agency, has organized a comic book exhibition that has brought together emerging artists from French-speaking Belgium and authors and illustrators of Rwandan comics. The agency has partnered with the city of Kigali, the Embassy of Belgium, Rwanda Cultural Heritage Academy, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Ministry of Youth and Culture to organize the exhibition. The exhibition, which will run until April 4th at Imbuga City Walk, is in line with the celebration of the Francophone Month, dedicated to the promotion of French language. According to Aimable Twahirwa, Director General of Culture Promotion at the Ministry of Youth and Culture, the exhibition encompasses comic books that he said are loved by both children and adults, for they convey a message in an entertaining way. Over 10 districts are appealing for support to rehabilitate hundreds of classrooms that were damaged by storms countrywide. A report by the Ministry of Emergency Management shows that over 117 classrooms were damaged by storm, while 357 houses collapsed due to heavy rain-induced disasters. The most affected districts include Gicumbi, Burera, Rulindo, Muhanga, Ruhango, Rutsiro, Karongi, Musanze, Kirehe, and Gakenke, among others. Philip Habinshuti, the permanent secretary in the ministry in charge of emergency management, said that a census of the damages is still being carried out so as to provide support to the affected areas while affected residents are being temporarily sheltered. The Ministry of Local Government says the number of malnourished children and people living below the poverty line in Nyagatare district is increasing despite the district's growing economy. According to statistics from the ministry, 44% of the population in Nyagatare district is under the poverty line, while 20% are in extreme poverty and 30% of the children are malnourished. The Minister of State in charge of social welfare in the Ministry of Local Government, Assumpta Ingabire, called on Nyagatare district authorities to use some of the district's growing economies to assist residents in socio-economic development to get out of poverty. 2 people have been arrested separately in Chanika sector within the district with 110 pieces of non-biodegradable plastic bags which they had sneaked into Rwanda from Uganda. Residents tipped off the police about a group of smugglers that was attempting to sneak assorted goods, including the outlawed polythene bags, into Rwanda from Uganda. Superintendent of Police Alex Ndaisenga, the Northern Region Political and Civic Education Officer, commended residents who shared information leading to the arrest of the suspects and seizure of the plastic bags. The law states that any person who imports plastic carry bags and single-use plastic items is liable to an administrative fine equivalent to 10 times the value of those plastic carry bags and single-use plastic items.
Some items of international news on Radio Imanzi.
Dr. Matshidiso Moeti is the first woman to lead the World Health Organization's Regional Africa Office, the capstone of her career, in which she has overcome discrimination in apartheid South Africa to become one of the world's top health administrators. As World Health Organization Africa Director, Dr. Moeti initiates emergency responses to health crises in 47 of the continent's 54 countries and recommends policies to strengthen their healthcare systems. Public health expert Dr. Mary Stephens says that seeing Moeti as regional director means a lot to her and others in Africa, where women historically and traditionally have had to take a back seat. It gives us hope and an indication that it can happen for any woman on the continent. Dr. Moeti has made strides within World Health Africa to follow through on her word, starting a leadership program that has helped promote more women by ensuring that female applicants for jobs are taken as seriously as men. 18 civilians were killed in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo by a notorious ethnic militia which attacked a church building where displaced people had taken shelter. An armed group called Kodeko attacked the village of Kilo in Ituri province. An official in the Catholic Church said the group entered one of the apartments where displaced people were sleeping and killed 12 of them. The complex houses around 1,000 people who had fled massacres in the nearby village of Matongo in Jugu territory. Jean-Pierre Basiloko, who represents an association of local NGOs, said the group first attacked a unit of the Congolese army before raiding the church building. Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta has called on the international community to lift sanctions against Zimbabwe, saying the restrictions were damaging the Southern African nation. Speaking at the State House in Nairobi with Zimbabwe counterpart Emmerson Mnangagwa, President Kenyatta termed the sanctions as illegal, assuring Zimbabwe of Kenya's continued advocacy to ensure that the restrictions are lifted. The two countries signed 7 bilateral agreements or memoranda of understanding on political and diplomatic consultations, tourism and wildlife conservation, and civil aircraft accidents and serious incidents investigations. Tanzania has tightened its border control to prevent the spread of yellow fever after cases were reported in neighboring countries. The Tanzanian Health Minister, Umi Ali Mwalimu, said that besides regular demands for valid vaccination certificates from travelers entering the country, the government was also ramping up local vaccination drives among vulnerable people. The measures came soon after neighboring Kenya announced the outbreak of the acute and contagious viral disease. But Tanzania says Uganda, Sudan, and Chad also have detected suspected cases. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has recommended to the Security Council that the African Union maintain its staffing level in Somalia through the end of the year. The African Union mission in Somalia comprises 20,000 soldiers, police and civilians tasked with security and peacekeeping mission. The AMISOM mandate expires on March 31st, but the UN Security Council is expected to vote on March 30th to replace it with the African Transition Mission in Somalia. Africa's Center for Disease Control and Prevention has signed a memorandum of understanding with Pfizer to bring supplies of the pharmaceuticals firm's antiviral COVID-19 pills to the continent. The director of the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention, John Hengerson, said African countries should be using a combination of public health measures, vaccines, testing and other treatments, namely the Pfizer one, in their efforts to overcome the COVID-19 pandemic this year. Henderson expressed concern about countries where vaccination rates were still very low, which include most African countries, saying people should not be complacent as the virus still posed a grave risk. A Russian airstrike on a maternity hospital that killed 3 people brought condemnation down on Moscow today, with Ukrainian and Western officials branding it a war crime. A child was among the dead. 17 people also wounded, including women waiting to give birth, doctors and children buried in the rubble. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky told Russian leaders that the invasion will backfire on them as their economy is strangled. Western sanctions have already dealt a severe blow to the economy, causing the ruble to plunge, foreign businesses to flee, including investment banks, and prices to rise sharply.
Economic news is a regular feature on Radio Imanzi.
The Rwanda Stock Exchange Market Report. Today's trading session recorded 26,430,000 Rwandan francs worth of bonds traded in 3 deals on the fixed income market, and 8,878,000 Rwandan francs from 79,200 shares traded in 4 deals on the equities market. M10 Rwanda closed the counter at 180 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 36,000 Rwandan francs from 200 shares traded in one deal. I&M Bank counter closed at 45 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 157,500 Rwandan francs from 3,500 shares traded in one deal. Bredwa closed the counter at 125 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 8,684,500 Rwandan francs from 75,500 shares traded in two deals. Bank of Kigali closed the counter at 250 Rwandan francs, Simerwa at 120 Rwandan francs, Equity Bank at 440 Rwandan francs, Kenya Commercial Bank at 370 Rwandan francs, National Media Group at 1,200 Rwandan francs, Utri Supermarket at 104 Rwandan francs, and RH Buffalo closed the counter at 526 Rwandan francs as the market closed. The currency market review of today. The Kenyan shilling buying price was 8.8 Rwandan francs, and the selling price was 8.9 Rwandan francs. Tanzanian shilling buying price was 0.43 Rwandan francs, and the selling price was 0.44 Rwandan francs. The Ugandan shilling buying price was 0.27 Rwandan francs, and the selling price was 2.8 Rwandan francs. Burundian franc buying price was 0.49 Rwandan francs, and the selling price was 0.5 Rwandan francs. The US dollar buying price was 1,006 Rwandan francs, and the selling price was 1,026 Rwandan francs. The British pound buying price was 1,325 Rwandan francs, and the selling price was 1,352 Rwandan francs. The euro buying price was 1,118 Rwandan francs, and the selling price was 1,140 Rwandan francs. Today's weather forecast from the Rwanda Meteorology Department. From 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning, it is expected to be mostly cloudy in all parts of the country. The average wind speed expected is of between 3 meters per second and 4 meters per second. The minimum temperature is to be 11 degrees Celsius tomorrow morning in Nyabihu district. With that, we come to the end of tonight's edition.